of GFD.
EBN.
For future generations.
For member of Ghana Federation.
Frislames.
Evelyn Ampoman Kansameno, coordinator for Nut Ladies Society, Accra Metro East.
Josephine Abakweno, Nuts.
I'm Lucy Noshek, WEPT alumni, 2013 year group, and a Queen Mother.
Abdul Mumin, Department of Gender.
Tried convener. And somebody else.
She just came.
Okay.
Grace Wany.
And I'm Patricia Blanks. Auntie Amida,
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, organized by the Network for Women's Rights, tries intergenerational conversations under the Ghana Feminist Forum initiative. Feminist organizing has increased in Ghana as women seek to create a just and equal society for women and girls, scrutinize and interrogate processes that perpetuate existence and women's rights remain not only a moral imperative, but also a pragmatic priority. Inequality remains the adoption of the Beijing Platform for Action. Ghana still has Africa champion for gender equality, like South Africa, Kenya Forum in Paris, which starts development community, seeks to bring together. GFF provides an opportunity, including understanding bridge the intergenerational gap to promote inclusive need for a strong and across different spaces. Within the women's movement in Ghana has been activities outlined under the better understanding and appreciation of challenge. Collaboration with the by using our collective passage of the AA bill. The importance of this collaboration is the role of NETRITE as a steering committee member of the AA bill coalition, as well as its hosting of the Ghana Feminist Initiative. African Women's Development Fund as part of its support to the Ghana Feminist Forum initiative. And the Women's Voice and Leader seeks to strengthen feminist activism in Ghana. So that's why we have set and also strengthening activism, feminist activism in Ghana.
Good morning, everybody. Am I supposed to use the mic?
Thank you very much. It's really very exciting to see all the faces here who have been at the battle of the fight and are fighting hard and are very anxious to see that this bill becomes a law in our time this year. So I welcome you all. And I'm reading this on behalf of the convener of the AA Bill Coalition, Madame Sheila Minka Primo, who is not here this morning because she had to attend to a very urgent matter. And she sends you her greetings, and she wishes you a very gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the members of the steering committee of the Affirmative Action Bill Coalition, in short, AA Bill Coalition. The AA Bill is in line with Article 17.4 of the 1992 Constitution, Ghana's international human rights obligations, with the key ones being the Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goal 5, the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and the African Union Agenda 2063. Unfortunately, the bill has been in the pipeline since 2011. The bill is yet to be finalized and laid in Parliament for processing for it to become law. An earlier attempt to lay the bill in Parliament in 2016 did not yield much fruit, and the bill lapsed. Different drafts have been sent to Cabinet, the last being the 2020 draft, but did not receive approval to be laid in Parliament before the term of the 7th session of Parliament ended. Many women's groups have undertaken research on the issue of the representation of women in government, in governance and other leadership positions, and have made proposals for an AA law for Ghana. The AAB coalition was set up in September 2019. The secretariat of the AAB coalition is hosted by Abantu for Development was not realized. However, the coalition is not relenting in its efforts to ensure that the enactment of the AA law becomes a reality. Research in Ghana and in many parts of the world shows that there have over the years been pushing female participation of women still persists in Ghana. Representation, it is important that in an AA law in place in Ghana. This forum and net right.
Thank you, Dr. Being that today is the end of June. We hope within the next 6 months, before Parliament goes on recess, the bill will be passed into law. The Gender Minister has promised that it's its priority. And we also have the Speaker of Parliament saying that it's also his priority. So we are hoping that they will work together to ensure that the bill is passed. I now call on Pauline van der Pauwelen, convener of NetRight, to give a brief remarks. Pauline.
Good morning, everyone. I followed Dr. Binka's welcoming you all here and thanking you all for honoring our invitation. I think if there's one thing the AA bill reminds us is that change comes very slowly, and this has been in the pipeline for a long time, and we are yet to see the end of the tunnel. And even as a story about what was called generational amnesia. We have a habit of forgetting how positive social change comes when effort and push is made by people. The Ghana Feminist Forum is to remind us all about her discussion. I also thought that the olds have old ideas. For us, this Institute for Change, but also Remote Steering Committee, and this is part of a series of discussions we've been having, and I think they've been very, very important to re-energizing the feminist front across Ghana to become much more aware of the issues at hand. And so on that on that note, I will just say I welcome you all to this dialogue. I wish us all fruitful engagement, and I believe that the powers that be AA bill is passed this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Yes, we are hopeful that the AA bill will be passed, and we have to increase our activism in pushing for that. And I would like to add my voice to Pauline in expressing our appreciation to AWDF, Plan International Ghana, and Global Affairs Canada for this support to have this dialogue today. We have in our midst this morning representatives from AWDF and Plan International Ghana. Our first call on the AWDF representative to give us brief remarks. Oh, it's my own sister Rose. You see, this nose mask, when we see people that we know, we are not even able to identify them. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, sisters and brothers. So I'm standing in for the African Women's Development Fund. The African Women's Development Fund is a grant-making foundation and a fundraising foundation for African women. And we also operate in some countries of the Middle East, but for over 21 years, we have been operating in Africa, supporting women's rights organizations to address issues of injustices confronting women and girls on the continent. So we are happy to be part of this process. AWDF has supported the women's movement in Ghana over the years to ensure that women and girls have safe spaces to engage on pertinent issues confronting their rights and all the injustices that they face. So we are happy to be part of this process. And issues of intergenerational leadership and engagement is very pertinent on our agenda and on the agenda of the women's movement, basically to ensure that we are imparting whatever knowledge that we have to the next generation of leadership, to ensure that young women and girls will also take on the mantle of activism so that they can sustain the movement even as the older generation retires. So at this point, I'm happy to be here to represent the organization and specifically to be part of this engagement process. We are all anticipating that this bill will eventually be passed into law to ensure that affirmative, we attain that kind of vision that we are looking up to. So I'm happy to be here and I'm wishing all of us a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose, and thank you, AWDF. And yes, of course, because intergenerational dialogue is critical for us, this morning we decided to bring 3 generations together to help us, to lead us in these discussions. I have the honor to invite a rep from the Women's Voice and Leadership Program, also representing Pan International Ghana, to give us brief remarks.
Good morning. Good morning to you all. On behalf of Plan International Ghana, the implementers of the Women's Voice and Leadership Project, we want to express a sincere thank you to the organizers of this program, especially NetRight, our partner, for the opportunity for us to join in that advances the cause of. So in line with this strategy, NetRight is a partner to the Women's ultimate aim of increasing the enjoyment of women's voices and leadership. Affirmative action bill become a reality in Ghana. And so one of our components of the grant will be advertised soon next month. And so we entreat all women rights organizations some flexible funding to undertake other things for the.
Thank you, Emmanuel Nagana, with funding from Global Affairs Canada, for this support, a city to re-energize the women's movement in Ghana. We are most grateful. So if you are yet to pick it up to have a snack, so I'll plead with Irene.
No, because they don't understand this. Since I was sick, I felt like I didn't.
It's good. Yeah.
He doesn't have WhatsApp.
No, but that was in relation to something you were going to do. But you actually did put me on a WhatsApp platform for something, for a brief period.
But
and then we dismantled
okay, then I'll add you.
We dismantled, don't you remember? It was for a limited purpose.
That was, I think, New York.
Maybe New York, but I remember you actually put me.
Okay, then we'll put you on this.
I don't want that one to continue beyond what you said it was.
Me introduce you, sir. Me introduce you. Please, if we pick our snacks, can we kindly sit down? And the noise. Can we please sit down? Moderator, Susan Aite, Executive Director for FIDA Ghana. Susan, you are welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. And the round of applause is a little bit weak. I'm not sure if your energy levels are still low. Okay. All right, you can do much better, but I'll let you off because I really am anxious to hear from the panelists. And I'm not this offhand, so can we please have Madam Hilary Guidema up? Madam Hilary Guidema, please. Let's give a big, big round of applause. Okay, the next applause that comes, if it's weak, you all stand up and do a better job. Right, okay, so Madam Hilary is coming up. And then we have Efua Chidi. Efua, can we have you up as well? Okay, please come to the front, yes, and take your seats. Then we have our fashionista lady, Felicity Nelson. Could you please come up? And let's be giving them a round of applause as they come up. We have a virtual audience as well, so you are also welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please, these are our panelists. Let's give it up for them. Okay, I'm going to change the way you clap because this applause will not do. So can I kindly have your attention? We have a recording going on, an online recording going on, and it picks up the sounds. So if you speak, we may hear all that you are saying online. So just be mindful of that. Right. Ladies, you are much welcome. I'd like you to introduce yourselves. Can they have a microphone? Is it possible for them to have a mic? If well, can you move to the next seat because I may be standing? Yes. Yes, Felicity? Yes. Okay. Right. Can they have a mic? A microphone? All right, right. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Yes. Okay. You sanitize your hands. Then we have, you just start. Introduce yourself, please.
Felicity Nelson, broadcast journalist, gender activist.
Okay,
feminist.
I'm not sure everybody heard you, Felicity.
Gender activist, feminist.
Okay, right, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Edith Efua Chidi. I carry two issues concerning women economic empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, lady. I'm so sorry, Hilary. I shouldn't have forgotten you because you're my daughter's namesake.
Women's rights act.
Some noise coming from the table, so please, could you, thank you, Felicity and Mr. Atanya Miche. African Women Development Fund, AWDF. We are here to listen, to if we have advocacy work. I was looking at the UN and wow, 10-year-olds to 79 years. So I'm going to really start from our working encyclopedia, from here. In fact, her question is quite a tall list, a tall order, but I'll try and see what we can do. So basically, Hillary, globally, we want to find out from you, when there's a whole conversation.
They're talking about globally. I will say maybe because that is where equality, the discourse around equal occurrence, but it has been almost forever. And even before, women occupied spaces, rights to occupy those spaces. So I want us to continually remember the intellectual discourse from elsewhere. Now, captured, written, probably normatively, as far as the laws are concerned, we makes it neater. Yes. Where in Article 17, it says, for the purposes of the definition of non-discrimination, economic inequalities, I'm just paralleling, to correct these imbalances.
Online audience, please don't to place on you, basically. I mean, when you mentioned space for themselves, and that brings me to, we have some, a younger generation to really know that.
Thank you again. Now, when we come to the first Republican president, or include the representation of women, this story has been well documented by Professors Techiwa Menu and Georgie Chikata in a Constituent Assembly matter.
Okay.
So
I think, Hillary, could you please,
as it were taken from women who were supposed. So that's the first thing. In fact, I want to go through changed. We have come full circle without the results of the full circle. There was introduced an additional, and today we are asked, are they competently? Was the trivialization of the women, touching women in the midst of what is presumed to be men doing serious business? We still have this attitude about women, that they are probably tokens and just put in there, especially when we start talking about affirmative action, that is women just for women's sake, just for the optics, without eventually the 10 women did come in. That is how many years ago? Almost 70 years ago. And 70 years on, we are still struggling in Ghana to do what was done fairly seamlessly when we consider today's environment 70 years ago. So that is the experience that probably you've asked me to look at.
Yeah.
Had we built on this experience, we probably wouldn't oblivious to history repeating itself on an almost three-quarter century basis.
Before they could really contest, just a number.
I don't mind.
You don't
the
mind?
Word,
okay.
The word. I am sometimes taken aback when I see African women trying to hide their ages.
Okay.
Age. At least where I come from in Africa, age is respected.
Thank you.
Secondly, if you have lived on this...
To use the word old.
For Hillary.
Right, for Hillary. Thank you so much. I don't know about the others, but since Hillary is a women's rights activist, in our midst, and we do certainly, salute you yourselves, and you are here amongst us. So let's hear from the younger generation. What is your understanding of affirmative action? Having heard some of them, some of it around. So we really want to hear from you. What do you understand by,
To address inequalities. Stop gap, because it is not a permanent set of actions. It is to address a situation. Since Nkrumah's time, they started, right? But the continuity wasn't there, and so we had to start all over again. And
and that's actually set us back a bit. Right. So the same question to you, Felicity. Yes.
So the equality, we need gender equity, but then affirmative action is an equitable. Don't ask for equality. You just need equity, you know. But then you can use it, cannot have a nation where 51% of the population is female. You're holding the nation back, actually, because you're underutilizing.
Yeah, on. And I wanted to find out from you two, what
was a male-dominated field. And over the period, you'll see that you give solutions and people are like, let's think through this. You are at a meeting, for instance, a management meeting, and you say something, and people just only in the work environment. We see it in the churches. Myself, you see the curse being a woman in these parts of the world. You know, a woman is driving and in a road rage, derogatory remarks. We face it in almost every corner of the world.
Right, almost every corner of the world, but some countries have done better than us when we began quite well.
A lot of
70
countries.
years old on, and we are still going through, you know, this situation. So can you please hand over the mic to Felicity? I'd like to hear of, you know, her experiences as a young feminist. Yes.
Last night, I was on PM Express, because I'm one of the conveners for Fix the Country, and to speak on the issues on what happened on Nigeria. And someone sent me a Facebook message, and it said, look at you, because I was on the show, look at you, you are Shao, look at your eyelashes. That's the experience for women. You know, you're speaking on a political issue or a social issue, and they're talking about your appearance, they're talking about your sexual behavior. The words like ashao are thrown around literally on a daily basis. You know, there's been politicians who have come out to say that the women in Fix the Country want to twerk, that's why we want to go on a protest, you know, so extreme sexualization of women. And so these comments, what they actually do is, for a lot of women, especially in our culture, you know, where women are brought up like in a way to say type thing. So the minute you face these type of attacks, you instantly recoil and you think, you know, I'm not going to put myself out there, I'm not going to get involved. So then you end up with less women even putting themselves forward for these positions simply because of the kind of vitriol. But for me, like I'm really unbothered. But the point is, when people make these comments, we've not gotten to a stage in our society where we say, no, that's wrong. You don't say that about a woman. You do not make those comments. There must be repercussions for making such comments. We must have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to insulting women who put themselves out there. There has to be that aspect there so that when people want to open their mouth to say it, they hesitate. Even if they know that they want to say it, there has to be some kind of penalties for engaging in such behavior.
Right, well spoken, and as the parliamentarians who say, yeah. Right, so we've heard, you know, a lot about some of the issues that confront us as Ghanaians or in Ghana, and we've come to realize that indeed affirmative action is really important and indispensable to create a more gender-inclusive society. And I'd like to hear from, you know, Hillary about some of the benefits of, you know, having a society which is gender aware, or where things, or where women matter, where women's voices are heard, and where young people's voices are also heard.
There are several reasons, and permit me to categorize them into about maybe three groups. First of all, forgive me, maybe because I'm a lawyer, I like the democratic argument. You said, what is the advantage? The advantage is to signal that we practice the democracy that we say we are in. Felicity made the point, 51% of the population, represented in today's figures in how many? 13%. That is not a democratic expression. So first, it is about, if I may use street language, walking our talk. The demands of democracy. We must be represented. Categories that make up the population must be presented. The represented must look like the population. That would be the first argument. The second argument I will put across is the legal argument. Equality, and again I come back to the Article 17, the non-discrimination. And therefore, affirmative action assures that we are being legally compliant with our own constitution, with our international obligations at the UN level, all the documents and instruments that we have signed at the Africa level, at the ECOWAS level, West Africa level, assigned ourselves to. Yeah. And again, in our constitution, obligations we have set ourselves under. So this is a clear case of being legally compliant. Why is it that we is an exception and we are hesitant to take those same measures that are concrete? We also have the argument of necessity, which tells us that there must be a deliberateness about achieving it. And that is why these measures are also contained in these international instruments. The UNIFEM said some years ago, I must be like 10 years ago, that at the current rate of increase, it would take up to 2045 for us to achieve parity if we do not take specific measures. That was sometime at the beginning of this century. In view, the estimates are 2075. Wow. It has been said that in a year. Now, in Ghana today, if we look at our figures from 1992 to 19 to 13%, 6% increase in 24 years. So we are increasing at the rate of 1% every 4 years. That is what it boils down to. And so there is the issue of necessity. We do need to take action. And it's not rocket science. We have looked, if you look at the research from the Interparliamentary Union, there were only about 2 countries who achieved this parity without any measures. One of them slipped back. So it's clear. Those countries that have made the 30% Beijing threshold, which is unacceptable. Why are we talking about 30% for 50%? We should move beyond that. Those countries that have made it because they put some measures in place. So these are the benefits. We must show that we are legally compliant. Domestic law, international law. We must show that we are democratic. We must show that we recognize that as a matter of necessity, these actions must be taken. And we must have the utility argument. Women cannot be infantilized. Men cannot continue to speak for women. I am not male bashing. There are very nice males all around. Some of them are in this room. There are very nice males in my life. They do not wish evil on me. So this is not about male bashing. It is about recognizing the role of patriarchy in this whole system, and that women must speak for ourselves. We must articulate our needs. Those are the benefits. And we must create what is known as social capital. We must be able to show other women, some people call it role modeling or whatever, that women can make it and that it's possible. Because if there are no examples, there will be no motivation. It will look like something out of our world. Let me give you my own private life's example. I do not often talk about it. This will only be the second time in my whole life I'm speaking to this publicly. But there are times that we have to tell some of our stories. My own grandmother, born in 1900, was an activist, women's activist in her local community for the CPP. In the evening, she would gather us into the kitchen.
Just a second, I'm not interrupting you, but there's somebody's having a chat and we are hearing you right up here, so if you could just step out and do your chatting, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
In the evening, grandmother, not very well educated, would gather us into the local kitchen. The house in which we lived had Western kitchen and then a local kitchen separate. She would, under the guise of teaching us how to cook, herd us into the local kitchen and infuse CPP ideology, songs accompanied with agbaja dancing in that kitchen. And this is where my first political sensitization probably began. And when I look at it, she probably was, no, I will not use any word about my grandma. She knew how to strategize. Because in the main house, politics was not allowed. It was a politically neutral space. It was a taboo. So she herded us into the kitchen, activists at that time, in the early 60s, and sensitized us to be able to do political mobilization.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll end it here. There's
Right.
another little part of my
Okay.
life's history. It will come later.
Right. Thank you so much.
But the social capital issue
Yes.
that we have given a modern name to,
Mhm.
role modeling
Yeah.
also, is important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think that deserves a bigger one of applause. A bigger one, yes. It's amazing that in Ghana, every 4 years, we are increasing women's representation in governance or in parliament by just 1%. I'm actually shell-shocked to hear this. And I think that this must be, incorporated in and inculcated in our advocacy messages. I haven't heard this before. And this is the first time I'm hearing this. Thank you so much, Hilary, for sharing this with us. And I hope and believe that many of us who are in the women's rights, space will take this and run with this. Thank you. Right, I'm coming to you, Ifwa. Ifwa, you are the co-convener of the CSO cluster on what?
Decentralization.
Decentralization. It's quite a long, word. I've left something out as well. And you were picketing on the streets of Accra and Tamale sometime in 2019?
Yes.
Yes.
2018, 2019.
Right. So I just wanted to find out from you, what really motivated you? I'm sure I haven't heard this. You were right to do that. But before, you hadn't had this, information. You didn't have this information. So I want to find out from you, what really motivated you to picket on the streets of Accra and Tamale?
Basically, the social injustices, and then also to draw the attention of duty bearers to what women were going through, and the fact that we actually need the affirmative action law passed. Politically, they'll always say we are a listening government. But realistically, most of us don't see that. I mean, you try to be your own advocate in your little space, and all sort of intimidations are meted out to you. And if you call yourself an advocate in this country, I'm sure that you should be ready to face all sorts of bashing, institutional barriers, every kind of injustice meted out to you. You should be prepared for that. And so we've tried so many things to get the attention of the government. We've tried dialogue. We tried street walks and everything, and it wasn't working, so we planned to picket. But trust me, the picketing did not happen. It did not happen because I recall on the 12th of November, we sent out a letter to the Ghana Police Service informing them that the cluster wants to picket opposite the Flagstaff House and also in Tamale on the 25th of November and the 2nd of December, 2019. The police were okay with us. We went back and forth with them, and then they went silent on us. Several follow-ups later, 26th November, they called to tell us the picketing cannot come on. Why? Reason being that it was almost a year to an election, and anything can happen. The police did not have so many men on the ground. Number two, it was almost Christmas. I mean, if you had just told us it was almost Christmas, that one was even something we could buy into, but to tell us it's a year away from elections and security was important was something. And so we decided to take them on. We went ahead, organized press conferences and all, but they still wouldn't allow us to picket. So the picketing did not come on. The streets walks, yes, but the picketing, no. But I can tell you for a fact, they actually refusing us to picket actually resulted in mobilizing several women from different parts of this country. You won't believe a 72-year-old woman came on her own from at the grassroots. It means that whatever messages we're putting out there are being heard by the people who we want to get to. It means that today, our messages have gone even deep down to the market centers where women control the economic activities. You know, it means that our message is getting to our women at the rural areas who are farmers. We've had farmers join us from the Ekriapim area to work. And then, interestingly, I asked one of them, what motivated you to come? She said, Sesi Ayabre, nothing is working. But realistically, women contribute about 90% of the expenditure at home. That's what the woman said. That is not from me. She said in her household, she does basically everything. And she believes that if this law is passed, even at the local level, it will help them do more. Women are the controllers of this economy, believe you me. Go to the market centers. This market women virtually see money every day. They run our economy, but they are the least respected. And I believe that, you know, engaging them, I've engaged with them for almost 2 years. That motivated this cluster to think that, look, if the message is getting down to the grassroots, we need to make more noise up here. We call it noise because that's what they refer. They say you're noise makers. You're not heard anywhere.
Right. Thank you very much. If we are very, very surprised to hear a 72-year-old woman came all the way from Ada to actually join in the walk. Now, I would like to find out about Tamale because I just kind of perceived that you had a lot more success in Tamale than in Accra. Am I right?
We did.
Okay.
We did. Tamale really surprised us because we weren't expecting a massive crowd like that. We got to Tamale, and in the morning, we did not do any media in Tamale. We did a lot of media in Accra, so it was understandable we had quite a crowd. But in Tamale, apparently, believe you, people, Ghanaians, are watching from afar. More so with the advent of social media. Anything that happens goes out there. So we did a few live sessions on social media, and Tamale just surprised us. Tamale was massive. You had both the old and young, and we had lots of young women from second cycle institutions join us. You know, Accra had about 700 plus, Tamale had over 2,000.
Wow.
Yes, Accra, we had to mobilize. Tamale, we didn't do any form of mobilization. We announced a few times, but the women just came out to meet us. And talking to them, you realize that women are beginning to understand their importance in society. Women are beginning to appreciate their worth, thanks to the likes of Bashiratu and Co., who are always on the field empowering these women. Women are beginning issues of governance. Women are tired of being given a pittance of their due. Women are beginning to get tired of the tokenism, and so they are ready to take what rightfully belongs to them. That's what I saw in Tamale.
Right. You had two objectives, and one was to actually raise awareness about the passage of the affirmative, action bill. We haven't had that as yet. And so I really want to find out from you, what do you think, were some of your successes? What were your milestones? Pardon my English. What were your milestones? Yes.
The long term was to get the bill passed. And we did a lot of work underground. There were communities that hitherto hadn't heard anything about affirmative action, women empowerment, gender equality, and all that. And I'll say that one of our successes have been that now if you go to any regional capital in Ghana, if you go to any major town in Ghana, you'll mark at least 5 to 10 feminists there, which wasn't there before. We are proud to say that there were some very strict Muslim communities where entry was like, it was a real task. But now we have reps in those communities, we have women participating from those communities. Those are some of our successes. And then also, the media wasn't really an ally when we started, but at the end of the day, towards the end of it, even we're still on the journey, but you see that now the media is getting to understand that we cannot do it without them. Before, if you go out to look for airtime, you're asked to pay. But now you sit and then the media themselves call you, oh, we have this issue on this, can you, you know, they are, I think they now understand the essence of our call. Right. And are ready to partner with us. So those are some of the success. And then also the best one for me was that was from the Tamale March. The Tamale walk actually drew the attention of the speaker that resulted in the Speakers Breakfast Forum in 2019. If you recall, the Speakers Breakfast Forum that year was on affirmative action. And then through the help of Star Ghana, we got Aunt Sheila to present, to do a presentation on affirmative action. And then I remember Haruna Idrisu, after that engagement, said he hopes that women are given what they've been denied for so long. I remember Honorable Osei Chairman Sabosu saying the issues are getting more and more interesting, but he praised that his colleagues in the House fastened the procedure. But till now, we're still fastening the procedure.
Right, it's been a mirage, I mean, yes. Thank you so much. Don't forget to use the hand sanitizers. I hope our virtual audience are with us and they have their questions and their comments ready. We are ready to actually read them out, so please bring them hard and fast. And we want to talk to you, Felicity. You are wearing two hats: women's rights activist, a broadcast journalist. Now, I'm hearing from IFWA that the media is now actually, you know, being more proactive. Now, in the past, we know that the broadcast media has always actually projected or actually told the line, you know, of just giving us the gender stereotypes that we know. When it comes to, you know, politics, governance issues, it's all men that we see. Women are excluded. So I really want to find out, you know, from you, having heard from IFWA about the complement of the media, the broadcast media. Do you think this is a fair assessment? Is that, you know, the reality on the ground?
Okay, I definitely think there is an interest. There's an interest from the media when it comes to feminist issues, not just on the affirmative action bill. I think feminist issues generally. But I wonder if the interest is coming from a place of just them being vultures and devouring, you know, just something that's going to click to create these headlines so that people can click on their websites, or are they genuinely interested? Because you find that a lot of the issues, when they do come out, the kind of headlines that they even give to the issues actually takes the movement backwards. So you'd find that a lot of the people, sometimes the people that they'll send on these assignments might be like, let's say, like a conversation like this, they might send like an intern or a national service personnel who does not understand the issue in any way. And they're just looking for one thing that will be said that they can use as a headline. So for me, as a media person, I'm going to struggle to say they're doing a good job. Like, I'm literally fighting them on a daily basis. Even yesterday, to be on Joy Prime, Fix the Country, one of our conveners had to make the point that a woman had to be on the panel or he would drop out, so a woman. And this is something that he constantly has to do on different media platforms. And there's a conscious thing that we're doing because there's and he makes that point, and we've made that point that we're going to ensure that female voices are heard. But in the media houses, you tell them there's no woman on the panel, and they say, well, there's nothing we can do. So for me, I don't think they're making enough of an effort. I don't think that even if they're showing interest, I don't think that a lot of the interest is genuine. It's coming from a place of it's content. And it's just content, and they just want people to click on their website. So they'll take the most random thing, maybe today, Hillary's story, for example, they'll pick something like, hidden grandmother hiding in the kitchen to plan a coup or something really ridiculous, so that people click on it and realize, oh, actually, you're just talking about politics. So I just wanted to comment on the earlier about the female representation and why it's important. For example, recently we've had a lot of conversation on galamsey, and then there's a lot of conversation about it destroying the environment, which the environment, of course, is important, but then we have dehumanized the conversation. But the reality is, if we had more women and females in positions of power speaking on these issues, they might be talking about stuff like the fact that they can't even fetch water to cook. The fact that there's children being born with birth defects because of the chemicals in the water that they're having to consume due to galamsey. These conversations are not being had at all, and not even enough attention is being paid to it, because when those issues are being discussed, female voices are non-existent. So how those issues even affect women in very peculiar ways don't even get to be discussed, and they don't become the main discourse. Because, for example, something like going out and burning excavators, which for some people might seem noble, but how does that solve the issue of a mother having a baby without ears because of the water and because of the chemicals in the water? So for me, I think that it is extremely important that we pass this affirmative action bill and that female voices are counted, because if we say democracy is rule of the people, by the people, for the people, at the moment, by the people, when 51% of Ghanaian women are not involved, then that's not by the people. So it's rule of the people by others, by some, not by the people. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Felicity. Right. If you want to applaud, then do it well, because if you don't, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Now, talking about headlines, I'm coming to you, Ifwa. You actually made headlines in 22nd December 2019 on Ghana Web. And this was what the headline, read. It says, invisible hands, that's a quotation, invisible hands, thwarting the passage of the affirmative action law. Now, if you really made that statement, what exactly did you mean by that statement?
Okay, I think I subscribe to Felicity's assessment.
She actually worked her way to this question, actually. Yes.
That wasn't what I said.
Great. So what did you say?
I was misquoted.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's a beautiful headline, really. I like it. I love it. Yes.
I did not say
yes.
that.
It could actually be, a nice topic for a research. I mean, yeah. Visible hands thwarting the passage of the affirmative action law.
Okay, so
yes.
Invisible.
So I'll probably get Hillary to be a supervisor for that, actually, yes, at research paper.
I think we should, right?
Yes.
So that wasn't what I said.
Yes.
I was talking about the picketing.
Mm-hmm.
I recounted that earlier.
Yeah.
And I said invisible hands were thwarting our picketing efforts. That's what I said.
Oh.
And so when, I think the next day, I saw the Star FM actually called to do an interview on that, I was screaming my head off. I did not say affirmative action bill.
Okay.
We were talking about the picketing. We had organized a press conference to address the police refusal to allow us picket.
Okay. All right.
And so there was this prof, one of this, you call them paparazzi,
mm-hmm.
who came to ask why we think we were not allowed to. And I answered saying there are invisible hands, because you go to this police, they don't show any sign of refusal. They laugh with you, they joke with you, and after a few minutes or hours, they call you to tell you you can't picket because. And I said, because was an order from above. Which order? Who? We want to know. So they are invisible, in quotes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, that headline, actually, because I was quite eager to ask, that question as to why you made that statement. So thank you for the clarification. And the media we still have a long way to go with the media
We do.
when it comes to some of these issues. Right.
I
so
think that since Net Rights is doing this, empowering people, I think that you should also look at having a media engagement, bringing these people together and getting them to understand the issues that we raise, because the misquoting, the misrepresentation, the misreporting is getting out of hand. And it's one of the things that are not helping us get there, because when politicians or people in power look at these headlines, they just laugh at us. They don't take us serious.
There have been so many, I'm sure if we should do a count, we probably will get about over 100 press conferences, with the media on this. But there's no harm in also,
training, I'm talking about training,
yeah,
actually.
yes, doing it again. And so
Training, at least 2 days training, get them to understand.
Okay.
Because Felicity's people, most of them are half-baked.
Mhm.
You understand? And they are not ready to learn. And so they do a whole interview. They're just waiting for you to say something sensational, and then they just pick it up and dwell on that one instead of the substance of what you were talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I'm going back to Hillary. Hillary, there was an express commitment by the president in his State of the Nation address in 2017, and then in fact, not 2019, but 2018, that affirmative action law will be in place. In 2019, he conveniently sidestepped it and didn't make mention of it in the State of the Nation address. 2021, we have had this. We had a breakfast, forum as well. Everybody is talking about the policy. Now, how do we hold both the...
I would be asked a question at this forum that I would not be able to answer. I have always prided myself on being on top of these issues. But this is a tough nut to crack. And permit me, if I take advantage of my age, and do some circumnavigation of the question.
You are permitted.
Thank you. First of all, we have had several presidents committing to this law. I would rather ask you, which president has not committed to this law? So in answering the question, I'm going to set my own question.
You are allowed to.
And that is, your question was, how are we going to hold them accountable?
That's right.
To this law?
Yes.
This has been a cycle, we've been a cycle, 70-year cycle. Every president, to my memory, in the Fourth Republic has committed to passing this law. Every time the law has not been passed. What are we going to do? First and foremost, I think, and I don't think I'm passing the buck. I think we should have some kind of law or whatever it is, that when a bill is before Parliament and that Parliament lapses, we do not have to start all over again. Because this starting all over again means that we can work so hard up to the 3rd year of any regime. The 4th year is campaigning. And affirmative action is not a hot campaigning point. So it can be dropped in the 4th year and we come back to ground zero. However, if this requirement was removed, I think that we can pick up from where we were, and then it would be less easy for an incumbent to stall for 3 years. It may be wishful thinking, but I think that it is the procedure that has to change. Otherwise, it's very, very easy to stall for 3 years. And get back to where we were before. Now, each of our presidents has, in a manner of speaking, appearance, everything, been a gender activist. Look at all of them.
Yeah.
Which one would you say did not want gender equality?
Yeah, true.
But it doesn't happen. And this brings me back to the continuum of passing an affirmative action law, which I am familiar with.
Yeah.
The first step is the rhetorical strategies. And so the talking. The second step is to put the affirmative action strategies in place. That is the funding, the training for the media, everything. The third step is the passage of the law. We do the first excellently, we dabble with the second, and we never reach the third. So let us look at those roadblocks that prevent us from the third. And I think the first one is ensuring that the law can be passed. Number one. In our zeal, so that is the first one. Everything we've said here today, tell me which one was not said 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But we need to tackle this one because I've heard allusions being made to it, but nothing has happened. This is it. The second one is that in our zeal to have this law passed, now I'm coming down to what it is we are passing. Is this the law we want passed? Is the content of the law what we want? Or, in the zeal to pass the law, do we want anything to go and then we fine tweak it later? These are conversations we need to have. That is the second part, because pass the law, pass the law, pass the law. What law is passed? What does the law do? What does it not do? So your question was, what do we need to do? The activism, the everything, we've done it so well. The training, tell me which segment we have not trained. So for me, it comes down to the process. And until we fix that process, we can find ourselves treading this revolving wheel. Let us try looking at the process, because this is not going to be a hot election topic. This is not going to be a topic that is going to gain too much traction internationally. For the 2 cycles that I have been on the CEDAW committee, Ghana has been asked each time to pass the affirmative action law. International reporting and compliance has not been able to achieve it. So, coming back, what should we do? And this is the third time I'm asking the question you have asked. I think the process should allow us to do it facilitate it in a more facile, easy way, because we have done the first 2 over and over and over and over and over and over again, and we are still where we were at 70 years ago. I'm sorry I said it at the beginning. This is a question I'm not going to be able to answer satisfactorily, much to my embarrassment, but I think I have tried.
Right. Great. I think if I should do, a quick survey and ask you, what do you think about her response to the question? I'm probably going to get some positive, responses. So, but I see some actually nods, yes, some heads nodding. So I think I'm right. So let's move on. I want to pick up on, a statement that Hillary made. She said, "You've done the activism so well." Now we are talking about intergenerational dialogue. Now, what do you two think? Have we been able to do a good job in trying to amplify the voices of young feminists in our advocacy strategies and approach?
Why are you starting?
Sorry? No, let's hear from them and then we'll come back to you. Right, Felicity, yes.
Okay, so to put it bluntly, absolutely not. I think there's a lot of issues. So I think, even bringing it back to the media and how they misrepresent feminist voices, especially the so-called social media feminists. There's been lots of conversations which have happened online, which have been misreported, complete fabrications. And when I felt like when some of the older feminists had read these headlines, instead of reaching out and saying, oh, this is what we've read, this is what's going on, and actually having a conversation with us, they've gone on to like media stations to kind of say, no, we don't know what kind of feminism they are doing there. They are doing that we are not those types of feminists, and once you start making those types of statements, you're already creating a disconnect, and you're saying that you are there, we are here. So then how do you start, at what point are we going to start even having a conversation on the affirmative action bill if we can't even speak amongst each other? And I also think culturally in Ghana, generally, there's this disconnect between older women and younger women. And I think even the women who work within the feminist space still find they still, in a way, act as gatekeepers of patriarchy. I'm sorry, I find that a lot of the older women, so they're judging the way you dress, they're judging the way you say things, they're, hey, we rabbi, so you say, all of those things, even though they're working in the feminist space and they understand feminism, somehow, because all of us have internalized misogyny, including myself, even including us as young feminists. And I find that so what happens is, again, that creates I'm just talking about my personal experience and experience of some of my friends. This is not, of course, speaking for every single young feminist. I'm just saying this is what I've experienced. And, so that again creates a disconnect. So then there's not enough conversation. And then there's also this disdain for the kind of activism that's going on online, where there's this, where were you when we're drafting the affirmative action bill, when we're marching to Flagstaff House for the domestic violence bill? You people came yesterday and you don't even come and pay your dues to us. So there's that too. So all of those things do not create an enabling environment for us to build bridges and figure out how we can work together to amplify some of these issues. So it's multifaceted, and I think so I don't think the older generation has done a good job at all. And I think because a lot of the people in the older generation of feminists are academics. So if you're also not an academic, so there's some form of even elitism. So if you're not an academic, there's also a disconnect. Because you're creating these research documents, blah, 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 and which are fantastic, but then the reality is that the people who are on social media or the younger feminists or the people in the media space are the ones who have to explain that message to the public. They have to be able to translate that message. So people who can't read the 100-page document would understand what the issues are. So that again, so for me, these are some of the failings. And I also think that as younger feminists as well, we also have not done enough to appreciate the work that older feminists have done, because a lot of us don't even know. Like, we recently had a training with Net Rights, and I was, shocked to find out some of the engagements that they did, and even the kind of fieriness that they had, because now you find them even policing how, and yes, and someone kind of say, but they forget that when you're younger, you tend to be a bit more ferocious. And when you get older, you're tired, life is dragging you down. You don't even have time to really be as an active activist. So then you forget that when you were younger, you used to be like that. And even instead of like, oh, okay, I understand where you're coming from, you're rather trying to kind of move dumieja. And we don't appreciate that because, like, for us, it's a fight. So once you start doing already, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to hear anything you've got to say, I'm going to do it my way. And we have to also appreciate that all of us are doing it in different ways, but we all want the same thing. So there's no right way of doing it. We can all, of course, become better, but then nobody should sit on a high horse and think, well, no, that shouldn't be the case. We didn't. So, and of course we can learn, but it should be coming from a place of encouragement, love, as opposed to a place of pure judgment. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Wow, right. Oh, I actually have heard some of the things that you are sharing from younger women. I have a friend who is actually tried to do a research looking at young women in activism. And she said she wasn't going anywhere. So she realized that there were more women and more young men also doing more work, with social media, trying to make money out of social media. So that tells us that she hasn't finished her research. I'd like to read it when she finishes, but that tells me that there's a lot of work to do to nurture young women rights activists. And thank you so much for, being frank in this space. This is a safe space. So please feel free and speak your mind. Yes, Ifwa.
I think I buy into everything that Felicity said, and to add to that, I'll also say that the older generation sees the younger one as competition.
Yeah, we will hear from you, don't worry.
No, I'm being frank. Not all of them, some of them.
Yes.
Yes, some
wow.
of the older generation see the younger ones as competition. I am talking from experience. I'm very proud to have my lecturer here, Charity Binka. She taught me gender for 2 years at Gimpa. She doesn't see me as competition. Rather, she's proud of me. I have the likes of Auntie Sheila Minka. I have the likes of Auntie Lizzie, Auntie Rose, supporting me. But there are still others out there who think that, when did she enter into the space? Where is she from? What has she done? How many papers has she published? Who is she? And also, we are being frank. I think we are having a frank conversation here.
That's right.
Whereas we have others creating platforms for us. I can't even count the number of platforms that my mentors that I've just mentioned have created and pushed me on. Because probably they see something in me, they believe I can get somewhere. Equally, there are others out there, when they hear your name being mentioned for a platform, they ask, what does she know? Please, we have better people there. You understand? Now, recently, we had my age brackets conversation around this same thing. And what we realized is that some of our older generation gets lots of opportunities from this space. And so they think that we are also going to benefit from the same stuff in this space. And so they create ways and means to cripple us, which is not safe. We are being frank here. We're saying that at the last engagement we had for the AA Bill Coalition, the strategic planning meeting we had at the AH Hotel, we agreed that the elderly should mentor us. And not to see us as competition. I may not know it all because I'm not into academia. And so if you avail yourself for me to come close to you and say, Auntie Hillary, this and this is what I have been asked to do. How best do you think I can do it? We are fighting for one cause. We are not fighting for different, we are not fighting for a, no, we are just fighting for one. And so a house divided cannot what? Cannot stand. I spoke with Felicity's generation recently, and they also see us as being know-it-all.
You mean they see you?
Yeah, they see us.
They see the older generation?
No, they see us.
Okay. The mid one. Okay.
The mid generation as thinking we know it all.
Right.
They think we look at their posts on social media and criticize them. We don't. But we mostly do. I'm saying we don't. Yes, I'm saying we don't, but we mostly do. We mostly don't because we don't go on their post and comment. But immediately we meet our peers. Oh, Felicity Nelson, have you seen her recent post? These girls, what do they think they know? You see, we are trying to be like the same people that we are complaining about. And so why don't we create a safe space? Why don't we bridge the gap between the young, the mid, and the old? With the older generation providing us mentorship, and with us also trying to hold the hands of the younger ones and say, Felicity, I have this platform here, can we go together? Bashira, we have this platform here, can we go together? If we do not cultivate role modeling, If we do not cultivate mentoring the younger ones, we are fighting a losing battle. That's the honest truth.
Right. Okay. So Felicity is going to respond, or she's going to add a comment, and I'm going to open.
Now,
so just a second. I'm going to open, the floor, because I really want us to explore further this intergenerational issue.
Okay.
So please get ready with your questions. I know you're raring to go.
Two.
So let me finish. I know you are raring to go. Let me finish. So please get ready with your questions, both from the younger ones and then from the older ones, from the mid ones, and let's explore this before we wrap up. Right. So let's hear from you, Ifwa. Your second point.
Number two, look at the older generation. Felicity said it. They are into academia.
Not all of them.
The mid, yes, most of them.
Really? Okay, the younger ones are saying most. All right, we will.
Most of them are
we will
into
debate
academia.
that. Right. Okay, we will debate that.
Look
Yes.
at the mid generation.
Yes.
Most of them get stuck after masters. Why? Because we're so much engrossed in doing different things, we don't even think about going back to school. Look at the younger ones. They are so focused on social media. That's what they know. Okay. But the problem is we don't read across. Between the younger and the mid generation, we don't read. We are in a hurry to put out information without verifying. We are in a hurry. For instance, I'm giving a whole concept note to read. I just look at the title, Intergenerational Dialogue on Affirmative Action Law for Ghana. Oh, it's about affirmative action. But they go. They don't take time to read the whole thing, analyze, and come out. So if you monitor social media posts for both the young and the mid generation, you realize that there is a lot of ignorance displayed when it comes to affirmative action. Recently, I had an argument with one of the so-called Facebook social media activists, and she blocked me. Why? She had put out an information on affirmative action. As a friend and somebody I talked to, I went to her inbox. I said, look, even if you can't read, this one there, Google can just give you, jokingly. So I copied the definition and sent to her. Another one was, she says feminism is about women, blah, blah, blah. I say, no, my understanding of feminism is women economic empowerment, simple. If you can't take the long one, just limit it to somebody who believes in women economic empowerment, simple. This girl got so upset, did a whole thesis on me, and then blocked me. We don't read and we are not ready to learn. We think we are comfortable in our own corner. So, this conversation is much more than we see it sitting here. The older generation needs to hold us, and then we also hold the younger one. Then we form the circle, and then we begin to dance around this issue. That's what I think.
Right. Thank you very much. And yes. Okay, so let's hear from Felicity. We hear from Hillary, and then we are going to open the floor, and then we get questions and comments, because we need to react to some of the issues that that are coming up, that are emerging. Yes. Okay, go ahead, Felicity.
And I think we also need to appreciate the fact that there's even the notion that some younger feminist or mid-feminist is going to take your spot is a tool of patriarchy. And the fact that spaces available to women are so limited that women must fight against each other for these limited spaces, as opposed to forcing the spaces to open up. We're rather fighting for the limited spaces. Like, the focus is wrong. And to just kind of clarify something about what happens on social media, if you write a long post, nobody's reading our long post, no. Like, nobody's reading it. It's about sometimes even being intentional. For me personally, is about being intentionally provocative to spark conversations, because the social media space is not for us to have a whole conversation on what maybe a paper that's been produced. It's about generating public interest in that issue, so that conversations can be started. There could be arguments, there could be insults, there could be whatever, but people just, because some of these issues are not being talked about at all. Like affirmative action, how many times do you see anybody writing about it on social media if it's not an NGO? That conversation is not being had. So we need to ensure that if we want those conversations to be had, they won't be had in a long-winded way or like a research paper, but you have to provide the information. So even if you're correcting, the correction has to be done. And sometimes also you might not understand why that post has been written that way, because sometimes it's not always just to educate. sometimes also to provoke.
Okay, all right. I understand you're provoking us, like playing the devil's advocate. Yes, okay. Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This has been very, very interesting. And there are a couple of points I want to look at. I think there is immense resource in the I make it three because this is what you have represented here for ease. But even there's a generation missing.
Yes.
We need the 10-year-olds, the secondary school people, because that's where it starts.
Yes.
If you have a leadership role in your primary education, the likelihood that you will create, fight for, and get your leadership position subsequently is high.
Hillary, can you get the mic close to you? Yes, thank you.
My school report, when I was 6 years old, was that Hillary likes organizing people. I was teased no end because my siblings said it meant I was bossy.
Okay.
But I'm glad for that teacher's comment because each time it teaches me that there is nothing wrong with taking control, taking leadership, demanding the space, and keeping it. That 6-year-old impact has been so profound on me almost 10 decades later. And so there is an empty chair for a group that is not here. A group that we should not be oblivious about. Very significant. And again, a lot of you will agree with me that those who held leadership posts in secondary school, university, have turned out to demand those positions. And this is how it feeds into the affirmative action. I will say that it is not only the older generation who are gatekeepers of patriarchy. In fact, I'm going to make 2 sets of comments today. The nice diplomatic one and the no holds barred.
That's right.
I think I've earned the right.
You have. You surely have. Yes, you have.
Young women are more dangerous gatekeepers of patriarchy. Because when they are gatekeepers, we, the older women, are asked, look at this nice young lady who is obeying the rules. And here you are, standing against authority. It has a greater impact than somebody that they feel, oh, you're past it anyway. That's what is to be expected of you. So this is where we should look at the effect of patriarchy. And when I use dangerous, it is not in a derogatory way, but in a way that means it is getting more traction than if I did something like that. It's expected of me anyway. Then, I think you really made good points about disdain. You made good points about where were you. But you have a simple answer to where were you when I was picketing as a teenager and as a 20-year-old. You were not born. Where were you? You were not there. Simple. You have been born into a different era, into different experiences, into different inheritances than I was born. The things that I was sanctioned for and excluded for, you have as a matter of course. And there are several. Therefore, you cannot entirely, excuse me, this mask, you cannot entirely not understand why that action was taken. And if there's any generation who has straddled 2 worlds, it is my generation. We were the first people to wear a miniskirt. Yes. And you can imagine the flack we got for showing our knees when our parents wore nice gathered clothes. And there's so many other things, reproductive health, going into that area. We were the first generation to break those bounds. So you can expect, I am in 2 minds about this. Number one, I tend to think I am more understanding than my parents were. I tend to think that because the transition I have straddled, probably no generation has straddled it. Generation X, none has straddled it. So it is also possible that at the same time, we are not understanding of the lack of appreciation as to the gains that are chalked and the fact that they are not being held as tightly as they were gained. I can see that also. Having said that, where do we go? I will not argue the competition issues because they are your personal experiences. There is my truth, there is your truth, there is the truth. This is your truth. And I will not touch it at all because it is your truth. How do we work through this?
Yeah.
Contrary to what you think, it is not for the old generation to come and hold your hand. It is for you also to hold my skirt and tag onto me and say you will not let go like a child lost in a supermarket. It depends on how you do it. I have done it. It may not work. Of course, with everything, there will be failures. But I have tagged myself onto some older people. And I've told them, you've just got to help me get through this. And this is what I am prepared to do. And this is what I would be pleased if you would do. Maybe there's a little bit of, for want of a better word, ego massaging in the process.
Did you hear what she said?
You were not meant to
You were not
hear
meant
it.
to hear, yeah, okay.
You were not meant to hear
All
it.
right, okay.
But
Okay.
There may be a need to approach in a gentle way. And believe you me, we have those skills. We know how we've got the extra pocket money out of our parents. We know the techniques. And I think some of those skills do matter. Maybe I spoke in too general a term when I said it is not our responsibility. Let me say it is not only our responsibility. It is not always that your mentor seeks you out. Sometimes a mentee seeks a mentor out. And usually that works better because in the whole crowd of young people here, how do I know whose aspirations match mine? But if someone came after this and said, could you walk me through this? Then the bond is started. So let us not do the blame game. Let us look for opportunities, strategies, safe places, and this is the no holds barred part of my conversation, to work with each other. It cannot be impossible because we do that with our parents, our aunties, our grandmothers. The technique cannot be too far different, even though in one there's a familiar relationship and in another there isn't. So at the end of the day, what am I saying? I'm ending on a note of great hope and thanking for this opportunity. We didn't have to do it in a public space, but it's good that we have spoken about it in a public space and we can take it into the private. But a message of great hope, great potential, and a great way forward. And more telling of each other's stories. As I said, my first political mentor and person who conscientized me into politics was my grandmother. Not my mother, not my teacher, not my lecturer. It was my grandmother in a smoky kitchen. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hilary. Thank you, Felicity and Ifwa. Now I'm going to open, the floor for questions, for comments. I'd like to hear from both younger activists and older activists.
Sorry, I have one question. One question
right.
I meant to ask. Please, those of you who are taking the data at the back of the room, tell us in about 15 minutes how many people we have in this room, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and over 60. You took that data, and I don't think you took it because you wanted to know my age. So please.
For us as well, and any questions that have come online. Right, so I see how many hands. I see, I'm going to give you numbers. So can we see, your hands up? All right. So I have Bash number 1. I have Dr. Binka number 2. And okay, I'm going to give Auntie Elizabeth number 3. Then, my lady, what's your name? Josephine, number 4. All right. Then, who is 5? 5, I'm going to give it to AWDF. All right. 5. Then 6 to Prof. And then I'll come back again and take another round of hands. Okay. Right. So please just exercise patience. I've stopped early on so I can get, your comments and your questions. So number 1, Bashiratu, can we get her mic, please? Oh, I'll give you my microphone then. Here. So please just be very concise. Okay, thank you.
And thank you, NetRight and AWDF and Plan for this. I think that I'm happy because I'm happy about it. I remember very well, I was telling them, very young ladies are gone. And wherever you find yourself, began to withdraw a bit from NetRight. I just want to make a point of it is good, but it is not good for the next 5 years. Does not go down. If you don't, the fact that even NetRight itself will get to you once in a while to seek your opinion about programs and activities and even about participants, but that didn't used to be the case. There was some sort of condemnation and attack, and that is the truth, and we have to say it as it is.
Okay.
And also, if you look at how the NetRight platform itself is a WhatsApp platform, let me say this. You realize that even on the platform, young people do not comment. They don't comment. But people are comfortable sending messages backstage instead of sending it on that platform because of whatever reason. I don't know. Quite recently, myself and Felicity, front runners, conveners of Fix the Country
so you are
campaign.
just about ending now.
And
you have just 1 minute
Susan,
more.
you say we should talk. And in my generation, especially
So don't
for
blackmail
myself,
me now.
who has been here since 2007, I have a lot of experience, and I think I have a lot of things to share with NetRight that will make this organization.
Don't worry, I'll give you another
another
chance to speak.
So lastly, myself and Felicity are involved in Fix the Country as conveners. Then there was a police attack on the two of us at the High Court. And we stood our ground. And then the video was circulating. The video was shared on the NetRight platform. Nobody commented. That's fine. That's okay. But what I'm doing is not for me. I learned work from NetRight. From women on whose shoulders I am standing as a person does not die.
Right.
And that is what we are trying to do. And there was nothing, no word, nothing. No condemnation. Sometimes when we think about it's so painful, like you see the work we are doing online, nobody pays with the way we engage with the younger generation. I don't know which generation I am in.
Okay, right. So let's have number 2, which is Dr. Binka.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to make. Concerning the intergeneration, like in the Bible, it said, if you don't, I will hold on to the distance until anybody calling me to say on which we are all enjoying now, but it's not enough. You want to see the numbers increase. The charities' ideas are cake now, so they won't share. Let's dialogue. Let's have conversation. This has come up. So what do you think? Because she might give you some insight. We don't want people. For instance, Bash was talking about the court thing. I didn't even know. They say, they'll even be monitoring what is going, because I can't go to court, and when they push me small, I'll be gone. You see? But she has the legs to go. But I are more connected than us. Sometimes the meetings they attend, nobody, in fact, right now, people don't even invite me. They think that my ideas are gone.
Okay.
I become an endangered
Thank
species.
you. You have 1 minute more. So.
Yeah, so let's look at that. Let's have a conversation. Let's share ideas. Call Auntie Hillary. Call Mrs. Bedema.
Okay.
Call anybody on gender issues. It's not about they being half-baked or anything. It's just a national issue. Understand the issues and push it. If it's a one-touch, so it's something we must do. We don't know anything.
Dr. Binka, 20 to 40 of 8. So 20 to 40, 16. Okay, so let's hear from you. Is this Akpalo? Yes. We have 8.
Yes,
so
yes.
Great.
For the younger ones, feel free to approach. Is that these are Ghanaians who are outside Ghana, for them to be able to write their thesis and things. What I'm trying to say is that if you don't know your history, then you will not be able to move forward. And I think it's incumbent on all young people to read. We have research reports. You must know when affirmative action started. I was happy that the moderator mentioned that what happened at the Nkrumah, you have to start from the beginning and know what the processes were. It was not just them being able to speak English. Newspapers and know things happening around the world. So this is also very important. And then also, the process they used to even elect them is something that we can learn from if we have followed it. You know, women, if you put them with the men, they will vote us out because of the patriarchal tradition. So they had their own little caucus, and then they did the elections there. There were so many things we can learn. So we need to know our history. We need to understand it. We can criticize it, but we can also learn things that can make us move forward. Okay. And then, one other important thing that we should also note, a forum to draft the affirmative action. There was no politics. Yeah. You know, right now, I can see that we, as a women's force, we are divided. When it comes to politics, you go to parliament, we are divided. Even within the NGO sector, we are divided. Because if this NGO, this person is for party A, and you want to say something when party A is on, they don't want. It's so important that it should not be, you know, scattered down to politics. Because whatever affects women, so please, let's know our history. Let us also acknowledge the processes that we have followed, and then learn from whether we can change some of them, and then, you know, move forward. Because the politics of Ghana is no longer the same. We need to know what has gone wrong, what has gone right, because that will help us to be able to solve before we can push this affirmative action bill forward. So please feel free. Mentorship is important, but it's from both sides. So please.
Josephine, you have but just a minute, Josephine. I need Josephine. Just give me a second. I just want to read some of the messages that have come across from our online audience. Okay, great. She's Auntie Jane. If you are listening in, and you were one time a Sunday school teacher, thank you so much. Of Hillary Medema, yes. Thank you so much for your comment. You are telling us that you are very optimistic that the affirmative action bill will be passed in your lifetime. It is long overdue, and I'll say amen to that. Right, so Al-Hassan, and then the main highlights, pick on trivial issues. You must be rich, you must be deep.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The discussion was going on. We had about 100 women in parliament. What would have been the narration? 10 of us standing down here, and maybe one standing here. We had about 5 or 6 women contested. Involved. Yeah, so I do some politics. I talked to the young
So
lady.
just a second. Yeah, you are politically active, but you are not partisan. Are you partisan?
Contest. Some are graduates. Even the graduates, they are more scared to contest for maybe, yeah. Assuming we are different, assuming we are all giving them, we also need. I have a woman who wants this financial packages and all are who push.
And action, how long it has been in existence, and activists shouldn't be in competition because you have diverse, you know, areas or issues that we are looking at, and we have our interest in various competition because nothing about us is certain rights and opportunities which other, you know, counterparts are enjoying. So this is just to reiterate what the panelists and other people have said. And with the young feminists, in fact, issues of multi-generational activism is very paramount on the feminist agenda in Africa. And I'm very happy that Patricia and her team have taken this up to ensure that at least we are all engaging. We are speaking to each other. We are learning, because sometimes when you are just speaking without the historical perspective, you'll be making a lot of mistakes. We need to learn, experiential, you know, learning, lesson learning, the mentorship and whatever that we have. We need to tap into the ideas of our older feminists, the middle-aged feminists, and even the younger feminists, because they are using different tools to engage. They are engaging in different spaces. We need to ensure that we are all connected. We are speaking the same language, because at the end of the day, nobody is fighting for us. We need to fight our own battle so that the generations to come, the young women will also come and enjoy some opportunities which we didn't get the privilege to enjoy. You know, so just to encourage the young women activists, that this is your time. We have the older generations, there are a lot of information for us to learn. Are we getting in contact with them? Because they are all the majority of them are open for learning. You know, so once we get in touch with them, we will learn a lot. And also to encourage you that at the African Women's Development Fund, we have the resource hub. We have a lot of feminist information that you can tap in. So at any point, it's online. At any point in time, we can send a link to Patricia. If you need any information on feminism, on women's endeavor to learn, we shouldn't just be, you know, advocating with the little information that we have. There are a lot of tons of information available. We have, you know, feminist ancestors and our mothers who are around to also support us. So we should ensure that we are learning from, and even the middle-aged feminists. Is very important. Sometimes I sit back and thinking about our democratization process.
Rose,
it's
you have just 1 minute.
Let me thank you very much. You know, it's becoming the monetization of the process. Can women get that resources to compete with our male counterparts? No, we don't have that resource. So affirmative action will go a long way to place women at certain places or positions so that we can also enjoy some of the opportunities. So we should take it serious. We should all engage. It's not a competition. We should ensure that we reach out to our feminist mothers and ancestors to ensure that we are tapping in their knowledge. Thank you very much.
Okay, right. I'm not sure why Rose keeps on saying ancestors. Okay, right. The ancestors, eh? Okay, all right. I'll come back, Evelyn. Professor is going to finish up this round, and then we'll do a second round, okay? All right, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I
Good
really
afternoon.
like this ancestry thing, and I'm a proud ancestor, and I also like the statistics. I am, because it says to me that our movement is growing. So I just want to start with a correction. Affirmative action is not just about representation in Parliament. Kenya recently appointed a female Chief Justice. One of the reasons why that happened was that the new Kenyan Constitution says that in any position, when you're going to appoint, the pool must include a certain number of women. So the Judicial Service kept rejecting appointments made by the president because it did not satisfy that requirement. And eventually, of course, they had a demo. In fact, they used an open process to appoint the Chief Justice, and it was a female Chief Justice who came out. So I think that we need to understand that. I wanted to reiterate Hillary's point. We should focus on how many things get. I'm hoping to hear some generation of women whose voices are coming on. Now I want to ancestors like us, and then social media savvy among ourselves, okay? Feminism, by the way. We need to guard against anti-intellectualism. Anti-intellectualism is very deep in our society. Not all academics are intellectuals. There are media people who are intellectuals. There are people who are called organic intellectuals. They have not even stepped into a classroom. And yet when they talk, when they reason, you can see that these people are intellectuals. And the dangers of anti-intellectualism is not just in Ghana. Somebody like Trump, Buklong, this. That's why we acknowledge that they have. And I think that within the women's movement, we should guard against this anti-intellectualism. As an academic, as somebody who has struggled, and you know, it's really interesting sitting here and listening. It's not that I do not hear the points that you young women are making. I have a daughter, she's a feminist. I'm very proud of her. And we discuss all the time. We share articles about reproductive rights, about so many issues. And so I think that we should be careful about creating caricatures of people, that they are like this. There are some older people who are much more progressive than younger people. So it's not just an age thing. It's really about how you think and how open you are. And I think that we should, by all means, this is really, I think we should have a proper intergenerational dialogue, which is not on affirmative action, where we can really talk about a lot more issues. This one is very specific, and I really think that we should focus our energies on the content of this affirmative action law and also the processes that we need to pass them. But we should also create a platform to air our issues. Bashiru, next time you are going somewhere, let us know. Then we will know where to find you. When we hear that something has happened, we will know that our sister went there and to find out what has happened to her. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I think I agree with you about having another dialogue looking at the intergenerational perspectives of the affirmative action bill. So over to you, NetRight. Over to you, Plan Ghana, Global Affairs Canada, and AWDF. Great. I see your hands up, Evelyn. Don't worry. I'm going to do a last round, but I need to read the comments from our social media audience. So Mandy Odo is saying one thing we can do at NetRight is to have a workshop on the intergenerational dialogue, feminism, and all other issues. This may have been done before, but our social justice issues, which some of the older ones do not really seem to understand. Okay, I think that's about it. So, right, so I have to read it then. So to address these mentorship issues, there's a need for data on the young ones or across all generations in NetRights, which people can easily look at and identify those they want to reach out in details for sharing with the younger generation. I believe the voice from today, but rather a delayed action being brought to the fore. So that's mine and your suggestions. Right, now, so let's do the final round because we can't be in the face masks for too long. That is it then. So just 5. So Evelyn, your hand has been up for quite some time. So either number 3 or 4? 3, yeah? 3. Okay, so Martha, 4. There's a lady in white shirt. What's your name? Lena is 5. And so let's hear from number 1, Evelyn. Yes.
Thank you very much.
So please brief and concise because we've been in the face mask for quite some time. Okay.
I'll quickly read something here.
Yes.
Anyone who stops learning is old.
Mm-hmm.
Whether this happens at 20 or at 80. Anyone who keeps on learning not only remains young, but from Henry Ford. So I just want to re-echo that the older generation together, and we can do, we know that experience, so we can the best sort to make us
this session today, and I wish AA bill is about, so that they can also, Madam Hilary asked, are we okay with anybody out? Then we'll build the instrument.
Okay, Auntie Hamida.
Susan, yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What I want to say is that I don't believe that there is a band of veteran women activists out there standing to bar young people from entering into this vast area of advocacy. Because a lot of women who are out there who have worked their lives, they have wanted to bring up young women. They have promoted young women, they have mentored young women, and I think that today the young people have a duty. If you have identified that there are women out there who have worked so hard throughout their lives and they are ready to help you, then you tag the address and follow them and leave those whom you think, which I believe that there is nobody, because then if people are working so hard to make sure that the movement grow, and then they say, no, young people don't.
Okay, let's just say they met the wrong people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I want to thank the panelists. They really did well. Whatever the discussions were very concise, and it was a 50-50 intergenerational, sincere and honest conversation. But my reason for taking this microphone is this. We should all know that there's nothing new under this sun. Whatsoever that you seek to do today, someone has done it. They started it before. And we, this younger generation of feminists and activists, have to pay homage to those who made the milestones that we are going to climb upon. So we should learn some of these things to do them. When we are able to accolade them, then probably we can also run to them so that they will give us their insight of experience, because as that's already been said, experience is the best teacher. My second issue is this. I've been here, and I hate to speak English, about an affirmative action bill. I heard one feature that was talking about people not having confidence. Have we asked ourselves why these leadership positions are available? We are talking about education. We are talking about bureaucratic reasons all around. But me representing my people who are indigenous and have not had any education, the language medium even that you use exclude majority of us. And we are talking about a nation that have majority of if action bill take some of these things into cognizance.
Number 6. Okay.
Ghana Federation of Disability Organization. I recognize myself a lot with a lot of we are pushing for affirmative action. One very typical example is, and guess what? The male is a civil servant, like a graduate from the university. But, you know, sending the mail available to this lady to, for lack of a better experience. Number 2, in 2019, I remember a lot of GFD came out also with their own that discussion has gone.
Also, we're equipping up. So, yes, young
commitments.
Okay.
Currently commitments.
Right. What's your name, Adia?
I would like to stand on all the feedback they've given us today. NetRight has a year-long program to bring in young feminists, and this includes mentorship and hands-on training. Myself and Bashira has developed a strategy, and I am holding them by their words today. Once, because where you accept, but you didn't.
You're getting down.
And thank you for all the very valuable comments that came across. I thank our sponsors again. I normally do not like wrap-ups because what has been said is usually so rich that it does injustice to wrap it. But let me just hit on 2 or 3 points. Number 1, I couldn't agree with Prof. Moore about the demonization of academia. I was going to mention it, but there was no time. All that we do must be grounded. You may break it down for other fora in philosophy to be able to people we were unable to can read it in English, the official language of our country, and then go and break it down or ask for explanation. What I have missed is the intergenerational dialogue. So if we work, that will make this bill move or not move, or how it moves. So I do thank Prof again for this one. It was there clearly, and this is why I came. I expected to give examples from the bill, and not for the question about disability. Let's note that this is this is affirmative action. Gender stories. We've heard a lot of each one of us here has told very many human stories. Some 62-year-old stories have come out today. So I think I agree with you. We must bring the intergenerational discourse alive. We must bring the bill alive. More of those stories as we engage. Thank you very much, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Hilary. Okay, Ifwa and then Felicity.
Kudos to NetRight for putting this together, but I wish we have more of this, and also if it is possible, and give them enough reasons why we need it passed. I'm very sure that most people here in this room don't have access to the bill. When I talked about this, I was made to understand that it's not supposed to be in the public domain, but it is there. It is there. I have a copy of the latest version. Anybody who needs it here, I'll willingly forward to you, ancestors, that we agree, and so you can polish us to become gems. Don't hesitate to approach us. Sometimes we really want to you. We see you as we grew up seeing you on TV, and take us
afterward.
There's issues anyway, and there's these during, and I don't think that's productive. It's not to say that every single older feminists who I speak to very regularly. So that's not what we're saying. I just think that maybe this was a time for older feminists to probably read more. I agree. I think that there needs to be more information being passed along. I don't believe in this idea that and because of the work that we're doing, because we want to achieve the same thing, we should all be treated as equals. I respect you, you respect me, and yeah. But yeah, I think that's.
And then to you also, that you've done a yeoman's job, like as Hillary rightly said, the last word is not supposed to come from me, but I will not say anything as Hillary. I'm taking a cue from Hillary. She says there's a need to strategically make the older active. So we're talking about activists as well as the mate between these three generations. There's one missing chair, so I believe that the next session we'll probably have them also, represented in that chair, so we can have, the full set, special, applause, and then we can then hand over to Suno. Okay. All right, blow. Just lift up your hands and just wave them. And then that's the wind is blowing. It's blowing. Do you know it? That's my very special clap. Yes. This one is just a demonstration. Okay, then the next one, 4 fingers. Yes, it's raining very hard. Okay, the wind is blowing. It's blowing hard. All our clothing are coming on the drying lines. Okay, thunder. Then, of course, my lightning clap. Thank you very much. I hand over to our net rights champion, Antipat.
Thank you, Susan. Yes, please, you are excused. Yes, this has really been a safe. What's pushing for the affirmative action bill is the inequalities that we are seeking. Really need to be interested in the content of the bill to enable a collaboration between NetRight and AA Bill called AWDF, our first generational convener here. And they've done a lot of work on the AA Bill. So I know I've not seek their permission, but after AA Bill coalition, I want them to give us brief.
A really very exciting time here. We are very re-strategize and make sure, and then with the issue, I want to thank you. I'm sure that we'll get the media on our side. Probably we will make a faster move and get this thing passed. So I want to thank you, and I wish you all the best.
So they are here with us, and I want them to give us brief remarks. I'm sorry I did not consult before calling them, but I believe I'd like to express our appreciation to being with us at our Facebook.
We would like to extend our congratulations to the organizers of this program. It was a very great program. NetRight, Plan Ghana, AW, that and will be on the Parliament National issue.
Who joined us?
Thanks from to. We need to be both around as part of next to the round of applause. Thank you very much. Edith, thank you. Hearts, and it is given us a lot of food for thought. So thank you all very, very, very much. Have a good day.
How do I say it? We have packed lunch outside, so whilst leaving, kindly take a pack of lunch. For the GFF committee members, kindly stay. We'll have a meeting before we leave, so kindly stay. And I'll urge all our media personnel here that were invited to kindly go to the